Hawaii's news.
A police officer is gunned down in Waipahu by a man police arrested just 5 days ago.
Live, News 4 at 10 with Dan Cook and Paula Akana.
Good evening. Paula's still on vacation. I'm Tina Shelton. Today's gunman wouldn't live to see another arrest.
Although critically wounded, the police officer fired back, killing his assailant. Police say solo bike officer Stan Cook was making a routine traffic stop when the gunman pulled out an illegal AK-47 assault weapon and fired. Before it was over, more than 30 shots had been fired. We have two reports, beginning with News 4's Louise Kim McCoy.
Honolulu police recovered 37 bullet shells from the crime scene. It gives you an idea of the gun battle that happened here in this Waipahu neighborhood at about 8:30 this morning. Police say Officer Stan Cook stopped this car for a traffic violation. That Cook ran a check on the car, which police say was not registered.
And as he was approaching the car, a witness suddenly saw the officer walking backwards hurriedly. Then this witness saw the driver of the car lean out from the window of the car and start firing at the officer.
Police say the gunman was dead at the scene. His body slumped almost outside the car window because of his position as he fired at the officer. Police say the gunman was 30-year-old Ione John Sinapati of Waianae, a man police say they arrested just 5 days ago for abusing his wife. The records also show that Sinapati has been arrested 8 times, mostly misdemeanors. And court records show in July of last year he was ordered to stay away from his wife. But police still do not know why he was carrying an AK-47 semi-automatic rifle in his car or why he opened fire at Officer Cook.
The officer apparently was hit. He drew his weapon. As he fell to the ground and was on the ground, he opened fire, and which resulted in the driver being killed.
Police say one of the witnesses, a nurse who lives nearby, went to Officer Cook and helped him call for help. He was taken to Queens Medical Center where it was learned that he had been shot 8 times. Police say even though he was hit, Cook fired all 15 bullets in the clip of his 9mm semi-automatic pistol, along with 1 bullet already in the gun's chamber. They say he then loaded in another clip. Police believe Sinapati fired as many as 20 shots. Bullets were flying all over this quiet little neighborhood. The one that hit here was too close for comfort. A stray bullet also went into the living room of this house, rattling everyone at home at the time. Police and residents were amazed that more people were not hurt. Residents here still can't believe the amount of gunfire that rang out in their little neighborhood. They hope it does not happen again. Louise Kim McCoy, News 4.
This is Officer Stan Cook last December on his Harley. The police department says he's been a solo bike officer for about a year and a half. He's been on the police force for 5 years after retiring from the military. Hospital officials say Officer Cook arrived at Queens Medical Center this morning with gunshot wounds to his right side, including his arm, leg, lower abdomen, upper chest, and face.
In his blue police uniform, cut and in shreds with the badge still on it. It's very emotional seeing an officer down like that.
Did you speak to him at all?
Yes, I did. I spoke to him. He got to see his wife also.
What did he say?
I don't really remember. I was very excited being in there. I just wanted to express some words of encouragement and support.
Chief Nakamura says he told him to hang in there as he went into the operating room. Nakamura and another solo bike officer had nothing but praise for an officer they call kind-hearted.
Lots of letters of commendation that I've seen on his actions on the street, helping people change tires, giving them direction to get to locations. He knew how to talk to people. It's not a matter of he not knowing how to approach a person. I'm very surprised that this has occurred.
Officers also describe Cook as cautious and conscientious. They say he often wore a bulletproof vest even though it is not required. Police Chief Nakamura says he doesn't know why Officer Cook was not wearing a vest today. And tonight, the father of 2 lies in a hospital, his fellow solo bike officers streaming in and out, knowing that what happened to Officer Cook in Waipahu this morning could have happened to any of them. Kathy Muneno, News 4.
Stan Cook is in guarded condition tonight, and many are amazed since Cook took at least 8 bullets from an AK-47 assault rifle yesterday in Waipahu. Officer Cook pulled a man over, and a gun battle ensued. News 4's Louise Kim McCoy spoke with a nurse today who put her own life in danger to come to the officer's aid.
Watching him, and then he started to, hyperventilate. And the first thing also that came out of my mind is, wow, what if he's going to go in shock and then he's going to die?
Carlotta Adair is describing those crucial minutes she spent yesterday morning cradling Officer Stan Cook, who was gunned down right in front of her eyes. Police say Cook had stopped this car for a routine traffic violation, but they say the driver, 30-year-old Ioni John Sinapate, opened fire from an AK-47 semi-automatic rifle. Cook was shot at least 8 times, but police say he used his 9mm pistol and fired back 17 times, killing Sinapate. Police and area residents say Adair risked her life in order to help the fallen officer.
It's just like I was compelled to do it, so I just got out of my car. I know something's going to happen, they're doing, and then something might going to die or something.
Adair says she yelled as loud as she could for someone to call 911. Then she concentrated on keeping Officer Cook calm.
I think he was also nervous about if he's going to die or not, so I just told him, no, you are far off, 6 feet below the ground, just uplift him that feelings that, it's not really that bad, although I knew he was hurt badly.
He was just telling everybody to get away from the weapon, and he just grabbed his radio and just radioed for more help.
An ambulance then rushed Officer Cook into the emergency unit here at Queens Medical Center. He underwent surgery, and after some very critical hours, Officer Cook now appears to be on the road to recovery. His bravery made a lasting impression on many who witnessed the violent gun battle. Carlotta Adair intends to visit him when she can.
I hope that he will continue his duties, to the max, because I think he did he really, demonstrated a very splendid work.
Louise Kim McCoy.
Sinapati's parents sit in their Waianae home still stunned tonight. Stunned that it was their son who shot police officer Stan Cook with a semi-automatic AK-47 during what should have been a routine traffic stop yesterday.
What the news said, and about the policeman trying to stop him, and I can't believe what happened. I know him when he was a baby. He grew up as a nice guy.
A nice guy as a Waianae High School senior, but a sometimes violent 30-year-old man who'd been arrested 5 days ago for beating his wife, who was living on the beach and whose family now admits was heavily involved in drugs. Sinapati's brother told us today he believes his brother was high on ice at the time of the shooting and that he had a gun because he was on his way to confront some drug dealers. Even Sinapati's uncle is amazed Officer Cook is still alive after being hit 11 times.
He went shot at the cop first. So why he never kill a cop and why the cop killed him, I don't know.
As the Sinapatis struggle to make sense of what happened yesterday, they also know it will happen again, somewhere, as long as there are drugs and people and guns. Stacey Lowe, KGMB 9.
Reached in, grabbed the AK-47, swung it around onto Officer Cook, and that's when the gun battle ensued.
Witnesses told police Sinapati fired off at least 5 rounds before Cook could fire back.
The other thing that he says is his 9mm sidearm saved his life. If he had had a traditional .38, where you have to load bullet by bullet, he would have been dead today.
Marvin Winkensejo, Channel 2 News.
During this support a bill which would have banned AK-47s. Nakamura challenged those lawmakers to visit Officer Cook and explained to him why they voted
her husband
against
on Monday, and that he seemed okay, but she admits John Sinapati had a violent temper. She says that's why they separated about 4 years ago. But John often visited her and their 3 children. Abigail Sinapati says when John visited on August 24th, he became violent and began to punch her. One of the children called for help. Police arrested John Sinapati that night for abuse. Police say Sinapati was carrying a packet of crystal methamphetamine in his wallet the morning he fired an AK-47 rifle at Officer Cook. Cook was shot 8 times, but he fired back and killed Sinapati. Abigail Sinapati says her husband had to be on drugs to do that kind of violence.
John was messing with a different drug, yeah.
Sinapati died from multiple gunshot wounds to the head and chest. Tests will determine if drugs were in his body at the time of the shooting.
Aloha Friday, the 2nd of September. The AK-47 rifle used to shoot a Honolulu police officer Wednesday is considered a legal weapon, even though it was not registered to the gunman. Rifles purchased before July 1st do not have to be registered with police. Investigators are now trying to find out how unemployed construction worker John Sinapati got the assault weapon. Manolo Morales reports.
John Sinapati fired 23 rounds with his semi-automatic AK-47 before Officer Stan Cook shot back and killed him. Detectives say they don't usually come up against this type of arsenal, much to their relief.
It's dangerous, it's deadly.
Detective Davis says the crime lab is still trying to figure out the owner of the weapon, and they have sent the serial number to federal investigators. Detective Davis says the weapon has not been registered locally, but the law says if it was purchased before July 1st of this year, it didn't have to be. And police say the AK-47 has not been altered from its legal form. In the meantime, the argument continues between lawmakers and law enforcers.
There are a lot of very legal firearms out there that will shoot through a vest.
This is the rifle Sinapati used. With it and evidence from the shooting site, police can now tell us several things. They know Officer Stan Cook's police training saved his life.
First thing is you never give up, and he did not give up. He kept firing, and he even reloaded. And when he saw that the situation had been dealt with, then he laid his weapon down and he called for help.
And they know there are more guns like this out on the streets. Guns police want off the streets. Tiffany Spencer, KGMB 9 News.
Sinapati's wife, Abigail, says she is planning to hire a lawyer over her husband's death.
My husband was not an animal, okay? They left him there laying. He was still alive. He tried to get up. Come on, they state that in the papers. I plan to fight. You know why? He's dead right now. And I won't stop. I won't stop, believe me, until I know my husband is satisfied.
Abigail says she doesn't know what made her husband shoot at Officer Cook, but Sinapati's family told KGMB 9 that he was high on drugs at the time of the shooting.
Stan Cook is happy being back in the lineup of HPD's solo bike squad and happy to be back on his Harley.
The guy shot the wire right here, shut the wire right in half, so this bike and I are really close partners. This is really my partner. I call him Bud.
Cook and Bud have been through the worst and have come out on top. It was August 31st, 1994. Cook made a routine traffic stop in Waipahu when the driver of the car, John Sinapati, pulled and fired an AK-47 semi-automatic weapon. Cook was hit by 8 bullets. He did manage to draw his gun and fire, killing Sinapati.
I was shot 8 times, which made 11 wounds. I was shot on my right side and my left side, near my liver and kidneys. I was shot across the arm, a grazed bullet across my forearm, once under my arm. I was shot 4 times next to my holster, and I was shot 3 times in the rear end. Those bullets went inside and messed up my intestinal area. That was the biggest problems that I had. I lost over 10 feet of my intestines.
Cook still has over 50 pieces of bullet fragments in his body, but it didn't stop him from going back to work just 4 months and a week after the shooting.
It's like, I guess maybe like winning, you know, and even though I might have survived but then was unable or unwilling to come back on the motorcycles, would have been like losing.
But what about approaching that first traffic stop after the shooting?
I wasn't really reliving anything or looking back on what had happened, but concentrating on continuing to do the proper things to ensure my safety and the safety of people around me.
Cook says even with a life-threatening experience, he still loves being a police officer.
I think it's a very noble job. You know, by and large, you're helping the public. You're trying to control crime. As far down as just helping somebody change the tire on the freeway. You know, it's a good feeling and it's a good job. You go home and sleep good at night.
Welcome back. One of Honolulu's most celebrated police officers turned in his badge this week. Officer Stan Cook made headlines 5 years ago when he was shot 8 times during a gunfight in Waipahu. Darren Pai talked with the man who survived one of the police department's bloodiest confrontations.
August 31st, 1994. Officer Stan Cook pulls the driver over for an expired license plate, and gunfire explodes.
And the traffic stop was done. It was completed, and it wasn't until I returned to the car to have me sign the citation that I saw the suspicious object in the front seat. And then he was coming out the window at that point, and the gun coming to me, and that's when the shooting started, almost simultaneously. As soon as he knew that I had seen the gun, then he just turned into an animal.
8 bullets tore into Cook. 2 punched through his gun belt, 1 snapped his whistle, another his electronic planner. And while the shooting marked his place in the department's history, other cases touched him more deeply.
I remember an old Japanese man when I was working in Waipahu. We were called to the house, and he had his straw hat on. It looks like he'd sat down in the field to take a rest and just passed away.
While he's remembered for a moment of action, Cook learned early on the truth about police work.
I remember thinking, wow, there's a lot of writing and paperwork to this job that you really don't think about in the beginning.
As he turns in his badge after 10 years, Cook knows there will be times when he'll still want to use it.
I think the hardest part for me, and particularly because I was solo black for 5 years, is trying to ignore all these traffic violations I see every day and just look the other way. You'll always be an HPD officer.
HPD lets retirees keep the badge, either a copy or the original.
No, I want this one.
The badge that bore Cook's blood, the badge that made him a cop. Darren Pye, News 8.
Serving as a police officer was actually Cook's 4th career change. He spent more than 20 years in the military, had his own electronics business, worked as a retail manager, and worked in radio. As for his future plans, Cook intends to look for something challenging as long as it leaves him time to play golf.